If you were alive in the 1980s, you will know exactly what this car is without me even showing you a picture. It was on every boardroom wall, every arcade game, every TV screen with a pastel-suit detective hanging out the window. The Ferrari Testarossa wasn't just a car, it was the cultural mascot of excess. But underneath the shoulder pads and the Miami Vice glitz, this was also one of Ferrari's most important engineering resets. It fixed their mistakes, set a new design direction, and became a supercar you could actually drive without needing to keep a fire brigade on standby. Now the story begins with the Berlinetta Boxer, a car that was every bit as beautiful as its name was silly. The Boxer was Ferrari's halo car in the late 1970s, meant to show the world that Maranello could do flat 12s and mid-engines, but here's the problem, it cooked itself. Stick one in traffic and you'd be treated to an impromptu sauna, because the Boxer had its radiators stuck at the back, right next to that big 12-cylinder oven. Hot air went nowhere, cooling efficiency collapsed, and reliability suffered. In other words, Ferrari had built an Italian fondue set with seats. So by the early 1980s, they knew they needed a replacement. The Type F110 project was born, with Pininfarina given the task of creating something new. Leonardo Fioravanti led the design, the same man behind the Daytona and the 308 GTB. But this time, he wasn't aiming for curves and prettiness. This time, it would be brutal. The Testarossa was sharp, flat and wide, a car that looked like it had been designed with a ruler and a grudge. The most striking feature, of course, were the side strakes, those horizontal cheese graters running down the doors into the rear haunches. These weren't just styling gimmicks, they were a regulatory hack. You see, several countries banned large open intakes for safety reasons, so Ferrari disguised the enormous radiator inlets behind a series of slats. Suddenly, what was born out of necessity became the Testarossa's signature, and those radiators were now placed at the sides, away from the engine, solving the Boxer's heat issues once and for all. Aerodynamics mattered too. Fioravanti and his team produced a shape with a drag coefficient of 0.36. Hardly slippery by modern standards, but a revelation compared with the Countach, which was about as aerodynamic as a filing cabinet. The enormous rear track, measuring nearly 2 meters across, wasn't just for drama. It gave the Testarossa stability at high speed and made the rear look as wide as a rugby player. Park one in the 1980s next to a Porsche 911, and the Ferrari looked like it had been eating the Porsche's breakfast. Early versions had their quirks. The first came with a singular high-mounted wing mirror nicknamed the Flying Mirror, which looked wonderfully theatrical, but also placed a reflective surface somewhere between useful for aircraft and a complete hazard to cyclists. Regulations forced Ferrari to pin it for twin conventional mirrors soon after. Then there were the wheels. Ferrari originally fitted 16.33-inch single-bolt rims that could only accept Michelin's expensive TRX tires. Obviously, owners complained, and Ferrari eventually switched to 16-inch wheels with a more normal 5-bolt pattern. But the heart of the Testarossa wasn't its cheese graters or its weird wheels. It was that glorious flat 12, a 4.9-litre longitudinally mounted dry-sump 4-valve per cylinder masterpiece, producing 385 horsepower. Today, that might sound like the output of a sporty hot hatch, but in the mid-1980s, it was a headline figure. More importantly, the engine was smooth, tractable, and screamed to the heavens when provoked. Connected to a dogleg 5-speed manual, the Testarossa could run from 0 to 60 in about 5.2 seconds and storm on to 180 miles per hour, which in the days before the McLaren F1 was the sort of performance that emptied bank accounts faster than cocaine in a nightclub. Naturally, the Testarossa became a cultural phenomenon. Miami Vice plastered it across American television screens. And this was the beauty of the Testarossa. It wasn't just for posters or actors. Ferrari built over 7,000 units between 1984 and 1999, which I have to say by Maranello standards is practically mass production. And suddenly, owning a Ferrari supercar wasn't something only available to a dozen oil barons in the Middle East, businessmen in Los Angeles, rock stars in London, and even the occasional dentist with very generous patience could actually buy one. But like with all things in the 1980s, it didn't last forever. By 1991, the Testarossa gave way to the 512DR, a heavily updated version with more power, sharper styling, and better handling. That in turn evolved into the 512M in 1994, which ditched the pop-up headlights for fixed lamps and pushed the power to 440 horsepower. Just 501 of those were built before Ferrari retired the flat 12 altogether, closing the book on one of their most distinctive eras. All told, nearly 10,000 Testarossa-based cars rolled out of Maranello, making it one of Ferrari's most successful models ever. That's why, even today, the car still turns heads. You can't mistake it for anything else. It doesn't blend in, it doesn't whisper, it shouts loudly in Italian about how brilliant and slightly unhinged the 1980s were. And that's why the Ferrari Testarossa isn't just a supercar, it's a time machine. But yeah, at the end of this video, please let me know what you guys think of this car, what did you think of its design, and if you guys enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Now if you guys did like this video, you'll most probably enjoy most of my other stuff, so just go through my channel, see if there's almost a like, I'll check you guys in the next one. Cheers, eh?